New York City's got 3 problems. There are 100,000 people living in shelters. The rents here are the highest in the country, and half of all offices are empty. So why don't we turn the offices into apartments?
Everyone deserves a home.
A migrant crisis has now swelled New York's already substantial homeless population.
We need more rentals. We got too much office space.
The rent is too high.
It's like ridiculous.
6 new buses with migrants will be arriving at some point later today.
We have a housing crisis.
Where is this place?
It's right over here. We're on 25th Street in between 6th and 7th.
Is it an office? Is it an apartment?
Well, it's currently office. The owner would love it if it were apartments. In the past, there were rumors that this area was going to be upzoned to allow for residential in this type of building.
But before we check this place out, it's important to understand why New York wants to turn offices into apartments in the first place.
This is one of the places in New York City where the vacancy rate is so high. The tenants, the people who've been renting these offices are gone.
Should they turn the offices into apartments and let us live in them?
Yes.
I think so too.
Nobody's working there no more. They're working remotely.
I know, right?
Yo, you got a great channel, bro.
Thank you, my friend. Take care. That building is the only place you can live in around here. You've got swaths of empty properties, and this is the only residential one. And the mayor has a plan that would convert as many as 20,000 new housing units very, very soon in Midtown South. The office market down here has just been absolutely decimated. And that all started back in 2020 when the city locked down. Plus, there were no restaurants, no gyms, no movies, no haircuts. Nothing was open. It was just dead. But fast forward 3 years, the city is back open, restaurants are open, there's people walking around, there's traffic. It looks normal, but the work from home thing is kind of still a thing. And even though the city's back, the people in these offices aren't. And experts are saying that these economic conditions, lots of empty property just sitting there, has caused New York City to enter the doom loop. Basically what happens is since people aren't using the offices, their value goes down, and the amount of property taxes generated from said buildings also goes down. And then to fix this, what the city does is it raises taxes on other things, other sorts of fees to try to fill in the gap, and then more people move, less people are at the office, the value goes down further, and it becomes... And what's insane is New York City has a housing crisis going on at the exact same time as there's this office glut. You could have someone sleeping on the street here, but they're not allowed to sleep in one of these empty offices up here. And all this empty space helps nobody. Landlords want to make these apartments if they can. Dude, this is huge.
Huge.
How many square feet is this?
7,000.
7,000?
7,000. And you gotta check out the view of the Empire State Building.
Oh my goodness. It's like the best view you could ask for in any place. 7,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's like right here, next to this. How long ago did they renovate this space?
About 6 months ago.
Really? So this is all as new as it gets?
This is brand new, office space. All you really need is furniture in here. The owner would even furnish it.
And we have the direct elevators right there.
So this floor actually comes with a roof terrace.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
So the plan right now is to make offices built prior to 1990 eligible for conversion. Yes, how old something is or isn't depends on whether or not it can be used for another purpose. And there were previous cutoffs in the 60s and in the 70s.
Manufacturing spaces and offices became loft apartments in the 1970s. A push for residential conversion in the 90s turned Lower Manhattan from 9 to 5 offices into a 24/7 community.
If this happens, it's going to give the city an extra 136 million square feet of space to use for housing. That's more office space than there is in the entire city of Philadelphia, and it would let landlords convert any office into an apartment as long as it's located in an area where there is residential construction happening as well. And the area most impacted by this plan is where we are right now, Midtown South. Every street, wall-to-wall offices. And some of these would actually make really cool apartments. I don't think I've ever been this close to a water tower before.
See a lot of them in my business. And the owner for an office tenant would build out a full deck area here.
Wow.
With planters and everything, if we could get someone to take that top floor as an office space.
All right, commercial stuff is so much cooler than residential. Right now, we are underneath the water towers, and that view just gets even more impressive. That is so cool. What's this tower behind us?
It's a hotel.
Oh, that's a hotel? It's the only thing there.
Only a couple of these buildings are residential.
Really?
I mean, Chelsea Tower, Landmark, these are residential, the 6th Avenue buildings, but you have a lot of hotels here, because at the time that was, the highest and best use for that product.
You couldn't put an apartment building here.
No, it's silly. Like, if you look right next door here, this is 275 7th Avenue, which is a building that's actually owned by the union, and is a
That's this right here?
Yeah, it's a very successful office building, and they have vacancy.
So do you think this could become an apartment?
Not under the current legislation.
But if that were to change, and they were to make this an apartment, what about that? Do you think it would be practical?
I mean, it would be 4 great apartments very easily.
Much of the city's estimated 79 million square feet of vacant office space, picture more than 29 Empire State Buildings, is ripe for conversion.
29 Empire State Buildings. That would completely change New York City if all that was available to live in. This cubicle right here kind of gives you a good idea of what a bedroom could look like. It's an office or a cubicle?
It's an office.
It's an office. It is an office. But like 12 floor views, it would be a penthouse, right? This would be your penthouse bedroom right here. Oh, look at that. The office across the way. Ain't nothing going on in there. That place is empty. That could be a penthouse too, maybe. Now, I've seen other places get turned into lofts. They kind of keep the same central air loft ducting. I guess that would stay.
Unlikely. Each apartment would want to have its own AC.
Oh, this is all one unit right now.
This is one unit, which is in the back. It's a 15-ton air-cooled unit.
This is where the AC is. That's all this humming. Oh my goodness. Now, this is the largest air conditioner I think I've ever seen. It's not that loud either. Did they just put this in?
Look at it. This is pretty new. These things last 30 years.
Yeah, look at these filters, man. What was the rent on this prior to 2020?
I would say about $55 a foot on 7,000 feet, so about $32,000 a month.
$32,000 a month?
Plus taxes.
Now, there are some strong reasons why this may work, some strong reasons why this may not, but the potential upsides to this working out are just off the chain. So right over there, you have the Port Authority bus terminal and a whole bunch of subway trains, and if those were apartments, they would be so convenient. All of this would be so convenient. Look at all the potential. Who wouldn't want to live way up in there? I would. And pretty much all the traffic that you have in this neighborhood now is people going between Herald Square and the bus terminal and Times Square. It's all through traffic. Every business around here is a hangover from when this was like a corporate hotspot. You got Dollar Pizza. There's a gift shop. Over here we have ourselves another gift shop. Since no one's allowed to live here, the types of businesses that you do see are businesses that cater to what's already here. It used to be people looking for a place to get lunch. That's why you have a lot of lunch spots. And that hot I Love New York merch. But just think, if there were people living in here instead of empty desks, nobody working, the businesses that you'd have down at street level would be totally different than Verizon and 7-Eleven. Neighborhoods with a lot of residents don't look or feel like this in other parts of the city. And this entire building on the corner, this is vacant. If the city's plans succeed and all this gets rezoned as residential, it could be awesome.
Still, developers face a host of issues when repurposing commercial buildings that drive up the costs. Many modern office buildings don't have windows that open, for example, or the floor plans are just too deep for apartments.
So to me, not knowing anything, this looks pretty easy to convert, right? You just put in some toilets, some sinks from IKEA, and hey, you got apartments. Is that all that goes into it? Is there more? Is there less?
No, there's definitely more. First off, it's not zoned for apartments. So forget about that for a second. And you'd have to ostensibly cut off 10 feet at the back of the building to be even allowed to do that.
Is that because there's not enough light in maybe the building's interior because it's just so wide?
From the lot line to the back of the building, you need 20 feet of light and air. This building has about 10. The building would stop here. They would have to get the building completely vacant, cut off the back of the building to create more space between this and the lot line, which honestly, I do not understand why. Because we're now losing space. This could be more space for apartments and New Yorkers to live.
So you're saying that the current laws mean that from where the window is, it's okay for me to live here, but if I'm over here, this is not okay.
Too far.
Now I'm okay. Now I'm back in.
Now you're back in.
That doesn't make any sense. It's fine. Is anybody gonna complain that their bed's here instead of here? Are there landlords that are seriously considering destroying their buildings just because of these laws?
Absolutely.
Or they end up doing something even more drastic. Okay, so here we have a New York City office, which is just way too wide to convert. You've got all this wasted space in the middle, which somebody could potentially live in if the building were reconfigured. So in order to fix this, what they do is they hollow out the inside of the building, creating something called a light well. So if you were to dig this out, now you can have units around the perimeter that get enough light. Seems very extreme. It's the first that I've ever heard of this. Kind of shocking, actually, when you think about all the work that has to be done and you wonder, is it going to be structurally sound? Apparently it is.
You know, when you look at the cost to do what the legislation currently requires you to do to convert a building, it's almost easier just to build a new one.
Right behind me, this is 25 Water Street. It used to be an office, but now it's being turned into apartments, and it's going to become the largest residential office to apartments conversion in the entire country. If it works out, there's gonna be 1,300 apartments in here. That's insane. Now, originally, this was thought to be almost impossible to convert a building like this, and the reason it looks so funny on the outside with these tiny little windows, that's because the architectural style in play here is called brutalism. It developed in the 1950s in the United Kingdom as they were doing their post-World War rebuild. And this is how you build something quickly and efficiently. It's basically devoid of all decorations on the outside. It's just designed to be functional, and this is a great example of what makes it tough to make some offices into apartments. It was built at a time when there was central air, and it's way too wide to be an apartment building. But just like other buildings that are super wide, they did the courtyard cutout. So they removed part of the interior of the building, and they're gonna add 10 floors to the top. Right now, it's a 22-story building, and the finished building is gonna have 32 stories. The new owners had to take out a $536 million loan to get this project going. They bought it specifically because they had this special plan to turn it into apartments. But what's so weird about New York is that this type of conversion is allowed down here, and it has completely transformed the neighborhood. Look, there's a massive office right there, and then we have a little row of restaurants. This is a little tavern. There's a little Indian restaurant here. Caffeinated hummus, what is that all about? Over here, we got another little bank of stores and restaurants. Cookies and sushi right next to each other. Fish and chips for you Brits. Look at how neat this is at the end of this little strip, which is all cobblestones. Boom, more offices, more apartments. It's a nice mix of everything all in one place. Also, maybe it's just me, but the streets feel a lot cleaner and everything just seems like it's better maintained and better taken care of. Property values down here are likely a lot higher because everything down here is in use. Nothing is sitting.
Will these conversions really do anything to address New York's and other cities' housing crises? This one will cost literally hundreds of millions of dollars, a cost that will be inevitably passed on to future tenants.
Okay, so apparently units at 160 Water Street, which is down the street from 25, those are gonna have a price tag of between $3,500 and $7,500. That is not affordable. The same thing's probably gonna happen at 25 Water, I'm guessing. I mean, hopefully not, but probably.
Perhaps what the city could do is offer some form of, you know, tax abatement or tax freeze if he keeps a portion of the building as affordable rentals.
That's how they used to do it, right?
That's how they used to do it for new construction. There was a program called 421A, but you don't see anyone building new apartment buildings right now. They're all building condos. So these are call rooms. You know, get away from your desk. You step out. You know, you take your call.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, and that's how good this call room is.
It's like in Ace Ventura where he's...
We need more rentals. We got too much office space. There's all these roadblocks up. Let's take some down.
And the issue with all of this, the real issue that might stop it all from happening is that the city can do whatever they want, but the state still has to approve it. If Albany, New York doesn't approve what New York City wants to do, none of this is gonna happen. But right now, the city of New York is dead broke. They're always asking the state for money for something, all the time. If property values go up, the tax revenue from them is gonna go up as well, which could happen if these buildings were actually being used. Plus, there's a theory that adding supply of apartments at any price pushes down overall prices because there are more apartments available. I'm not an economist. Maybe one of you can explain that to me. Did I miss anything? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.